Hello and welcome to Facebook Live with me, Dr. Sharon Grossman. If we haven't met, I am a psychologist, coach, and speaker, and today we're going to be focusing on how to help you manage that work-related anxiety. So you might find yourself in a situation where you are just overwhelmed with the amount of work that you need to get done. You might have just too much on your plate. The pace at your job might be just so much that it makes you feel really frantic, and the environment itself may feel really unsupportive and draining, so that you end up feeling completely depleted. So what can we do? Well, the first thing we're going to talk about today, before we dive into those kinds of questions, is what really is anxiety, and what is this cycle of anxiety, and what do we need to do in order to get out of it? So really, anxiety is a physiological arousal. So you're going to notice some symptoms in your body, something that is happening physiologically. There is some sort of a trigger, usually external, that triggers something internal. So you're seeing those signs, those physiological symptoms, and that can bring up a state of alarm because you start to notice something's happening in your body, and if you don't understand what's happening or you don't know how to control it, that can actually create even more anxiety. And what happens when we're in that state, not only are we now feeling something in our bodies, but then our mind starts to go. And so we start to have worried thoughts. We might have some predictions about the future. Oh my God, this is going to happen. And then that creates even more anxiety. We might jump to conclusions. We might actually catastrophize, which is just predicting the absolute worst case scenario. So all of this kind of thinking actually creates more anxiety in us. So what can we do? Well, the first thing you want to really be aware of is, how does anxiety manifest for you in your body? For everybody, it's going to be a little bit different, and there are a wide variety of symptoms. So just notice what happens for you. Are you having those butterflies in your stomach? Is your mind racing? Is your heart beating really fast? Are you sweating? Are you feeling kind of dizzy and faint? I mean, what is happening for you typically when you're feeling really anxious at work? So take a note of that. That way you can, once you're familiar with that, you can actually prepare for that, or at least know that this is what's happening and have a name for it, and that can really help you. Then we want to, once we're in that process, we want to be able to really challenge our thinking, because as we mentioned, sometimes our thinking can actually create even more anxiety. So if you find yourself in those kinds of negative thinking patterns, you've got to figure out how to change them. So in order to do that, you have to understand what are your specific patterns and then be able to flip them around. And lastly, you want to really identify what your triggers are. So you'll notice that when you're at work, there are certain situations that really trigger you. What are those things for you? Is it a way that somebody looks at you? Is it a tone of voice? Is it a situation where there's some sort of dynamic between you and other coworkers? What exactly is happening that triggers you the most? And once you identify those, you can prepare for future scenarios by looking at some past scenarios of something that's already happened. Those are some of the internal, that's kind of the internal process or the work that you can do on yourself to help you manage your anxiety, but there are also some external factors that you can think about. So for example, if, as we mentioned in the beginning, you're feeling overwhelmed or you have too much on your plate, then there might be a time management issue. That's something that you can focus on. It might be there might be a need for assertive communication, for you to really assert your rights and let whoever it is that's delegating you all of this work know that it is not realistic, that it's causing you a lot of stress, and that you need to revisit what your responsibilities are for that job. Remember also, with regards to environments, that moods are contagious. And so if you find yourself in an environment where other people are feeling really anxious and then you start to feel anxious, you might actually recognize that it's not actually your own anxiety, but somebody else's. And so be aware of that and think about how you can surround yourself with more positive people. Now, if you have a specific situation that you want to really address, and you are in San Francisco, we hope you join us because we're going to have a live workshop next Thursday night, April 12th at 6:30 p.m. And it is also entitled Manage Your Work Anxiety. To find out more about this workshop, you can either visit us at bit.ly/manage anxiety. You can search for our workshop by its name, Manage Your Work Anxiety, on eventbrite.com, or you can email me at info@coachingbysharon.com. We really hope to see you there, and until next time, take care.